Welcome to another episode of Spirit Rising with Psychic Sharyn Rose. Today we're talking about what is a soul reading. Well, listen in as Sharyn describes her style of soul reading and how it benefits her clients. So let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Spirit Rising with Psychic Sharyn Rose. Today I want to talk to you about soul readings. Every medium and psychic have their own style of working, and sometimes we call something one thing, but it's not the same for any of us. It's like a fingerprint. We kind of create our own stories. And I've studied the soul and the soul travels and soul work and whatnot for years and years and years. And ultimately, I seem to have developed this ability to actually track back from where you are now in your life story to before you came to the planet. And I can track it. It takes about an hour. So it takes a full appointment, but it takes about an hour to go all the way back to the platform where you actually were surrounded by all your loved ones, surrounded by the support team, your soul group, your angelics, your guides, and you had made the decision and you were getting ready to make the journey into a physical experience. And in that particular journey, what I've been able to learn, and this is all something that just evolved, okay? This isn't something I took a course on or learned from anybody else. It's just evolved and is something I've been doing for clients for quite a few years now. And I really love it. And so do they. So what happens is I start with now and I work backwards. So I'm actually working backwards towards your beginning. And when I do that, what I run into is what some of the challenges have been. Because, sometimes there's challenges that we're getting in our life and we don't recognize them as very relevant. And so we ignore them. And we don't really resolve them. And then we run into the same thing again and over and over and over and over. And sometimes those are things that we actually came here to resolve. We never have just one purpose. Anybody that's looking for one reason why they came to this planet, they're crazy because there's a lot of things you want to do here. If there was only one thing, you'd have only one sense, wouldn't you? You've got all your senses to be able to evolve. So what happens is I go backwards and I'll run into various people. I don't need to know anything about my client when I'm doing this. I don't need to know where they're from, who their family are, if their mom and dad are alive or not. I don't need to know any of that because the information will come through and it'll come through on their timeline because it's literally their timeline that I'm following. It is probably one of my favorite things to do, actually, to be very honest with you, just because it's so much fun. And it's so revealing for the client. There's stuff that comes through and they go, oh my God, I never looked at it that way. But yes, that was my experience. And yes, I did have that. And now I know. And they even will find closure in various experiences or situations or adventures they've had on the planet up to this point in time. They find closure so they can actually turn around and say, wow, that was awesome because now I can move forward. Now I can go ahead and take that course I was scared to take or go ahead and trust this or trust that. So it gives you guidance in the relationships that you've bumped into, etc. I want to be very, very clear here. A soul reading done by me will be very different than a soul reading done by somebody else, unless we happen to have tuned in to the same energetic wavelength at the same time, and we're doing the exact same work. Because a lot of different psychics do soul work differently. There is a book that my producer, we were talking today, and she was telling me about a book called Soulbriety. And I don't think she gave me the lady's name. She didn't. It's a psychic that wrote a book called Soulbriety. And now you have to understand that everybody that evolves into the psychic field of study has got some kind of history. We've all done other things. We've all done different work. We've all had children. We've often been married, often divorced. Some of us come from addictive backgrounds. Some of us come from trauma backgrounds. We all have a story. And it's from our story that we're able to build our business and build our understanding of the psychic world and our understanding of our soul and the journey of our soul. And just to give you an example, the lady that wrote this Soulbriety, I don't know very much about her. Again, I don't even know her name. You'll have to Google it. She was a lawyer at one point in time. And then she fell into, and now I think I've got this right. I may have it wrong, but I think I'm right on. And then she fell into addictions. She fell into alcoholism and drug addiction and struggled. And when she came through it and resolved it, which she chose to do, and is always a choice, right? Always a choice. We, the humans, have the power of choice. When she made the choice to resolve it, she ended up going into medicine because she wanted to understand more about the body and the mental state of people and the mental wellness. And ultimately, that led her into soul work and doing soul reads. And I don't know how she does hers. I haven't read her book. I'm going to. I've just, again, heard about it today. But you might want to pick it up and take a look. But that's just an example. My story doesn't have an addiction background. Mine has a trauma background. My story is childhood trauma, and the need to fit in, and the need to be accepted, and the need to be loved, and the looking for someone to just love me so that I could be worthy. And so consequently, I went through the divorces and the marriages and the divorces and the marriages. And I had to go through that journey. And I also had to go through a familial journey with family, core family, and of course, my own family. And what has come out of that is my appreciation for the world that I grew up in, which has lent itself to the work that I do in the soul reading. So it's going to, all soul readings I do will be colored somewhat by my own experience. Just as the lady that wrote that book, hers will be colored by her experiences. We all have different stories. Not very many psychics and mediums out there have come from joyful, peaceful, wonderful childhoods. There are some, don't get me wrong, and it doesn't mean they're not good. They're very good. There's some really, really good mediums and psychics out there that have come from good stories where they had a family history of psychic work, etc. But so for me, the soul read and being able to do a soul reading for someone. Now, I have to also tell you here that I'd like to give you an example of a soul read, but I can't remember any of them. And the reason is, and this is something I think maybe a lot of people don't realize, I don't remember most of my readings. I don't remember when I do a mediumship session, unless something unusual happens, like something unusual like Brussels sprouts comes up, then I'll remember that because it's like, especially if it baffled the client. And then I get a note from the client later on following up when we're not in the session, telling me and explaining what the Brussels sprout was all about. Then I remember that particular reading or that part of the reading. I don't remember all of it. But I don't remember most of my readings. And the soul reads go deep. They go very deep. So I'm kind of almost in a semi-trance state when I'm doing soul reads. It takes me a minute or two to get there. To get into that state. Maybe that's why I like it so much. It's kind of almost like going into a meditation, but I'm traveling. I'm actually traveling, and I'm traveling up. And it sounds weird. I'm traveling up. I'm not really going anywhere, but I'm traveling up. And so consequently, I don't remember the stories that I bump into. I don't remember. And a lot of that has to do with etiquette as well. It's none of my business. It's really not. Clients don't come to me for me to know all their stuff. They come to me to look for some guidance or get some help or get some information that can give them some peace. And that's what my intent is. That's my job. So I don't remember a lot of the readings. So it's really hard for me to actually take a soul reading and pull it out of thin air and tell you all about what it would. I've given you the best that I can give you. So if you're interested in a soul reading, it's something that you can request. I don't think it's actually on the website. It's not something I've actually advertised, to be honest. It just comes up with clients when they come in. Every once in a while, it's like, okay, this is what we're going to be doing because this is what the universe is saying to do. And we do a soul reading. So as you know, I'm going to do just a little blurb here and then I'm going to let you go. But as you know, we've got a name change, Spirit Rising from Medium Well. We've gone to Spirit Rising with Psychic Sharyn Rose. We have our own Facebook page. We also have a workshop page, which is kitchenwitchin.ca. And we also have Sharyn Rose Psychic Coach and Medium Facebook page and the website. And I invite you to go and check out all the details on all of those websites. I do a lot of coaching. I do readings. I do mediumship. I do all kinds of things and clearings. I do a lot of clearings as well. which is feng shui. And in the workshops that we got coming up, we do a lot of learning about that. So I can teach you how to do it yourself. I guess that's probably why the soul readings haven't been really advertised very much, because there's a lot of other things that I do as well that are just as important to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a card for you. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast than we normally have, but that's okay. I'm sure you don't mind. Let me pick a card for you from the Animal Spirit Guide deck. And these are Stephen Farmer's cards that I'm using. And we got the meerkat. The meerkat. Do you know what a meerkat is? If you saw The Lion King, you know what a meerkat is. Oh, look at this. Get support from a trusted group of like-minded friends. That is so important. You know, I know it's January right now, and I know people are struggling a little bit. We've come through Christmas. A lot of people were ill over the holidays. A lot of people had illness in their homes over the holidays. And a lot of people are trying to pay off debts and get back into work and kids back into school and yada, yada, yada. So what you want to do is you want to really make sure you save and put up some time for your friendships. Put some time up to go for lunch with a friend once a month. Go to a movie or do something with like-minded people. Not just anybody, but people who think like you do. People who are interested in the things you're interested in that you can brainstorm with. And in the meantime, go check out that book, Soulbriety, and see if you're enjoying that kind of a journey. And I will look forward to talking to you next time. So for now, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Rising with Psychic Sharyn Rose, formerly the Medium Well podcast. Still the same great podcast with the same great advice from Sharyn Rose. Make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast player, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google Podcasts, and never miss an episode. All you have to do is follow on your favorite player, and you'll be able to catch a new episode of Spirit Rising with Psychic Sharyn Rose every Wednesday, released at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll talk to you next time.